What is going on YouTube? ModzvilleUSA here, back with another SNES/NES Classic modding video, and today I want to be showing you how to install Retroarch. We're going to be installing it to a USB flash drive. This video is made hoping that you already watched the previous one. If not, go back and watch episode 2, which is about getting a USB drive set up with an adapter. So that's pretty nice. Now, running Retroarch, if we were to be running it just from the internal memory, there would really be no point, just because we're stuck with 325 megabytes. We can't really get much done with that amount of space. That being said, we are going to be going through the whole shebang. We're going to be installing Retroarch. We're going to be adding playlists, and yeah, we're going to get cover art. We're going to get all of that. So the first thing you're going to want to do, you want to plug in your classic console as well as your USB flash drive. Now we are going to go to Modules, Mod Store. We're going to go to Retroarch, and you're going to grab the latest version of Retroarch Neo. At the time of making this is 1.7.4a, and then go ahead and click to download. Now this one's completely optional. If you want to boot directly to Retroarch, you're going to grab this Hakchi Retroarch conversion mod and install that. However, I wouldn't recommend it because there is various homebrews that play from the stock Clover OS, like Brutal Doom, which you will be forfeiting if you boot directly to Retroarch. So what we're going to do is grab this guy right here, download game, hit close. This is the Hakchi Retroarch launcher, which makes Retroarch an app within the stock UI that you can boot to Retroarch from, which is pretty nice. So we got that. You've got this, and the only thing else we need is external Retroarch. So go ahead and click to install that. Now, what you're going to want to do is load up this install extra modules thing. You can go ahead and install all of these at the same time. So just click Retroarch Neo, or whichever version of Retroarch is the most current that you grabbed. We're not going to be installing any cores. You're going to choose external Retroarch. And if you want to do the conversion, go ahead and do that. And then just hit OK and let it do its thing. Okay, we got those installed. Now, what you're going to want to do is you should have this new apps Retroarch right here. So we're going to check that. If you want to install other homebrew while you're at it, go ahead and choose it. But for the sake of this video, we are only going to be installing Retroarch. And what we do is choose Export Games, and then choose your USB drive. It is now done. Now we are going to test our work and make sure everything is running as it should. Okay guys, so I had just booted up my console with the flash drive plugged in, and as we get to the main screen, this is what we see. We just see this Retroarch application. So let's launch that. Okay, here we are in Retroarch. Now if we go to load a core, we have nothing. We have not added those yet. It is good to test because this is a big one. You're going to want to go to directory, and you're going to want to make sure you check where everything's saved. So BIOS is in libretro, database libretro.config. Okay. playlists, libretro.config. Okay. Now, a lot of older guides, and even in the Mod My Classic Discord, when I went and asked them about this, like, most people think that all of these are supposed to be saved in the new data folder / RA folder that gets created once you do this. However, everything is saved into the libretro folder. So just make sure you double check this, because if you were to change where these directories go, it would not save the configuration. So everything's going to be going into this libretro.config folder for the most part. So let's go back to the computer, plug our flash drive back in, and set up our Retroarch. Okay, so here is our flash drive. Now you will notice that once we booted everything up, it created this data folder. It's got this RA data for databases, downloads, playlists, and thumbnails. But that is not where Retroarch is set to detect these, at least from my experience. Maybe they'll fix this in a future update. Just make sure you check in those directories to see where it's looking for these things. So it took me a while to figure out from all the outdated information on the internet. So where it's actually looking for everything is hackchi libretro.config Retroarch. Okay, so we've got these databases and cores. Now we're going to we need to grab these manually, the database files and the core files. So I have links in the description. You'll find this link right here. This is the latest nightly for all of these here cores. Now what we're going to do, unfortunately, there's not an option to save all. We have to do it manually one at a time. We're going to go ahead and just grab every core, because why not? Second thought, guys, we are going to create a new folder somewhere. Retroarch Classic Cores. Open that up and then save it. So I'm in Firefox. I'm right clicking, save link as. We're putting them all in the appropriate, in the same place, not mixed up with a bunch of other crap. So just go ahead, bust all these. We're gonna do a fast forward here once we got all of these downloaded. Holy shit, boys and girls, that was bananas. But we are done. That is everything. So let's navigate to where we saved it. I've got this Retroarch Cores doodad here on my desktop. This is every single one of the current nightly cores. What we are going to do, go ahead, shift click all of them, right click, go copy, go to our USB drive, and put it where it's looking for cores, and it is looking for cores in hackchi libretro cores. Looking for cores here. Libretro core. Okay, so we have our cores pasted. Now, what we are going to do is go into this .config folder, Retroarch database, RDM. We're going to put our database files here. So I have another link in the description for this. It is a GitHub link. Boom, right here. Just go at the main page here, We're gonna go clone or download. Download as zip. Just gonna go ahead and straight up open it. And here's what we got. We got the libretro database master. Open this up, go into the RDB folder, and we are going to select everything and post it into that RDB folder, .config RetroArch. Okay, that is done. Next, I'm going to want to think about dealing with BIOS files. So let's go back to the root, hackchi, libretro, system, BIOS files, go here. Now do a search for RetroArch BIOS pack. You should find a nice little compiled BIOS pack. Okay, so RetroArch, we've got this RetroArch BIOS pack here. So we got PlayStation, GBA, we got some Game Boys, all of that. So we are going to drag this to the hackchi libretro system folder. Now this does not include a Dreamcast. The one I got does not include a Dreamcast BIOS pack. So I'm going to be grabbing that right now. Alright guys, so here is my BIOS folder. You see all of these, and for Dreamcast, you're going to need a folder called DC, and inside there you should have DC_boot, DC_flash. These are your BIOS files, which will increase compatibility quite a bit for the Dreamcast. You're going to need that. Okay, so we got our BIOS files. We've got our database files. Now, let's talk about ROMs. So here I have mine. I've got some Atari, PC Engine, Nintendo, etc. For like N64 and earlier consoles, you're going to want to search for no intro ROM set, no dash intro ROM set. For things like Dreamcast, you can look for True Rip. That is one of the good ones. There is also, what is it called? Tosec is another good set for Dreamcast. And for PlayStation, I would do Redump. Once you get all those, put them in here. Now, let's think about thumbnails. We can add thumbnails to RetroArch by going in here. I believe mine is looking in config RetroArch. Not screenshots. Thumbnails. Bada boom. So there is another link in the description for thumbnail packs. You should see something like this. Now all you gotta do is go through and download the packs that you would like and unzip them to said thumbnails folder. And once again, there is a chance that your RetroArch is looking for thumbnails in this RA_data thumbnails. Just make sure you check when you boot up RetroArch the first time where it's looking for these things. Mine's looking for them in here, so that is where I shall place them. Alright guys, so got some thumbnails transferred. I didn't transfer for every system, but just to show that they will indeed work. Okay, so let's go over it again. We have live retro system. We got all of our BIOS files. Boom. We also have in core all of our cores. That is set up. And in config, we have database, RDB, all of our database files. We also have some thumbnails set up as well. Now all we have to do is plug our flash drive back into our console and boot it up. Okay. Booted our console up. We've got Retroarch here. We are going to boot into that. Ta-da. Okay. Cool. As you can see, everything looks the same. Now, let's make sure our cores are here. Load core. Got them all. All of our cores. Now, let's check out information. Database manager. Database files are in the correct spot. And that's all there really is to check. Now, if you did not see your cores or your database files, go back here to directory and see if yours is supposed to go to the data folder or not. This is where it wants all of these things from me, so that's where I put them. If it has something different of you, put it where it asks you to put them. Okay, now this next process, we're going to be creating playlists, which will set up a bunch of tabs for the individual consoles that we have. So all of our N64 games, all of our NES games, all of our SNES games, they will all have their own tabs up here. And if you added thumbnails for those systems, they will all have thumbnails as well. So we're going to go to scan directory, media, that is your USB device, and ROMs. I made a folder called ROMs, and within that folder I have all of my ROM sets. Got it? And once we're in the ROMs folder, we just go scan directory. I recommend doing something similar and naming your ROM sets as I did is not a bad idea. It's the same name as the database files, so if you have issues with scanning certain consoles, just name, say, your NES. Say it's your NES games, just go ahead and name those the same as the various databases that we grabbed. Okay, so we're gonna go to scan. No. Okay, take two. We're gonna go to scan directory, media, ROMs, scan this directory, and this is going to take a very long time to complete. So sit back, grab a cup of tea. If you have as many as me, you might want to sleep on it, come back the next day, and hopefully it's done scanning and making all of your playlists. So have fun. Alright, so once you finish scanning all those folders, it took me a couple hours, you will have all these playlists. Let me show you around. So as you can see, we have the thumbnails here for SNES, and then we've got screenshots on the left hand side. Now I didn't add thumbnails for every console, but we got them for N64 as well. And let's see, I believe I have them for regular Nintendo. Yes, I do. Now the thumbnails, if you do a scan and the thumbnails do not show up, don't worry about it, that is normal. Just reset your console, and they should all be there. So one thing I want to recommend is that you use a Nintendo Wii, the original Wii, a Pro controller for one of those. It has the same connection for like the SNES Classic, so you can go ahead and use that, and then you have modern controls. So let us load. Let's do an N64 game. Show you how this works. I'm gonna do Earthworm Jim 3D. I'm gonna go run. And there it is. Now if you want to go back to the main menu, all you have to do is push start and select at the same time. Go to close content. Here we are. Now let's try an SNES game. Sometimes it will ask you to pick a core, and you can mess around with the various cores. Just make sure it's for the right system. Let's try Dracula X. I'm gonna go run. So here we go. Here's a bunch of different SNES cores. We got Beetle, and we're gonna go with SNES 9X and try that out. Easy. Very nice. Let us close that. You can also set your playlist to choose a specific core no matter what. If we go down here to playlists, this will show all of our playlists, and one that I know we want to set up is PlayStation. PlayStation will it'll offer a bunch of different cores. Since it's a bin file, it won't know to use PlayStation. So go for Sony. Yes, PCSX rearmed. That's what we want. And one more quick thing to show you, if you would like to. There's some other neat little options. User interface. You can change the appearance here. I like the red, volcanic red, yes. We're going to use the simplified ribbon. Up, up, up. Well, never mind. None of these other ones seem to be installed. So we're going to stick with monochrome. On-screen display, notifications, frame rates, pretty nice. I like knowing the frames that we're getting. Frame count doesn't really matter. So we're getting a solid 60 FPS in this menu, which is nice. It's very nice. And yeah. So it looks like Dreamcast doesn't scan. It's the same on PC as well. You can just go in here and load it manually. The core being Redream. And yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about getting Retroarch set up with playlists and thumbnails. There's a lot of intricacies with overlays and stuff that we might get into in a future video, but this is really everything you gotta know. Maybe every couple months or so, just go back and update the cores to the latest nightlies, and yeah, see how optimization improves. Right now, N64 is running really well, surprisingly well. And yeah. Well, anyway, guys, leave a like if you found this helpful. Subscribe if you're new here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video just because I know there's a lot of RetroArch guides, but they're really out of date and not really at all helpful to the way that RetroArch currently is. So yeah, thank you for watching, and on the next one I think we're going to be installing Brutal Doom and showing you how to play it with a mouse and keyboard, which I am looking forward to. Alright, Modzville signing out. Don't let us back, let's see what to do.